Steve Jobs is a film directed by Danny Boyle, and it stars Michael Fassbender as Steve Jobs, and then a huge, incredible supporting cast. The film really takes kind of a different look at Steve Jobs than you're normally used to, you guys. There was a film a couple years back called Jobs as well, with Ashton Kutcher as Steve Jobs. And that film, to me, when I first watched it, having read Steve Jobs' biography by Walter Isaacson, and knowing kind of a decent amount about Steve Jobs, when I watched that film, it was really kind of like a fluff piece, you know what I mean? Where you were kind of watching it and it painted Steve Jobs as this incredible visionary, and he like thought up every single thing that ever had to do with Apple, which is untrue, you guys. And what this film did is definitely not that. It's written by Aaron Sorkin. If you guys don't know who Aaron Sorkin is, he wrote The West Wing and the incredible, and one of my favorite movies of all time, The Social Network. And he definitely didn't paint the Social Network crew, the people that made Facebook, in a nice light either. And that's why I was really excited going into Steve Jobs. One thing that really was different for me is the fact that Michael Fassbender was playing Steve Jobs, and he really looks nothing like him. And so that was a worry of mine going into Steve Jobs, was that maybe I wouldn't be able to connect with the character because he didn't look like Steve Jobs. And we all know what Steve Jobs looks like. So when I went into the film, after the first 5 to 6 minutes, Michael Fassbender just blows it out of the wall. Like, just, he's incredible, and you completely forget that he's, you know, he looks different than Steve Jobs. You actually start believing that that's what Steve Jobs looks like. That's how incredible of a performance Michael Fassbender gives. And Michael Fassbender right now is one of the best actors around, in my opinion. It's not if, it's when he wins an Academy Award, in my opinion. And he's always picking independent films and then also big budget films, which is really incredible. And just like his past times that he's done kind of different roles, he completely becomes Steve Jobs in every way. And I remember when I was watching press stuff for this film when it was coming out, Danny Boyle, the director, actually said he didn't want somebody that looked like Steve Jobs. He wanted somebody that internally could play Steve Jobs, not externally. See, in a lot of films, most people will cast somebody that looks like that person, kind of like Ashton Kutcher was in the last Jobs movie, and Ashton Kutcher just wasn't a great actor, and Michael Fassbender is an incredible actor. And I don't know if you guys know this about this film as well. It kind of went through a rocky road of getting made, because originally David Fincher was supposed to direct it, and he directed The Social Network with the same screenplay by Aaron Sorkin, or Aaron Sorkin wrote that movie as well. And Christian Bale was supposed to play Steve Jobs. So this movie completely took a lot longer than expected to develop. Obviously, after Steve Jobs died, everybody wanted more. So the biography, Steve Jobs, is what this film is based off of. If you haven't read that book and you're interested in Steve Jobs' story by Walter Isaacson, I highly recommend you guys check that biography out. It is incredible. It's the best one I've ever read, in my opinion, and you will not be bored through it at all. Some biographies are boring. This one definitely isn't, because Steve Jobs' story is pretty crazy and pretty unique. So the way that this film kind of takes place is in 3 different press conferences, 3 different product announcements. So the first one is on Lisa, his computer, and then the Apple II, or it goes Apple II, and then Lisa, and then the iPhone, I believe, or not iPhone, iPod. So you have kind of this huge range of him growing older, even in the very beginning the original one's Lisa, and then it was the iMac, and then the iPod. And in the original one, they actually shot it in 16mm film, and then the second part, they shot it in 35mm, and then the final one, they shot it in digital with Alexia. And so even when you're watching the film, you feel kind of that old feeling in the original part. And they almost feel like 3 different films, and you're watching Steve Jobs grow as a character. And most films that are biographical really try to like go from the beginning to the middle to the end. And this film doesn't do that. It actually has these events take place in real time in front of you. So every single time one of these aspects take place, so let's take the Lisa one for example, all this crazy stuff is happening to them, and it's in real time. It's not like they're cutting 15 minutes later or anything like that, and it's just getting ready for the press conference. And of course, it is based on a true story, but it is over-exaggerated for drama, of course. That's how every single based on a true story movie ever is. Anytime somebody ever comes to me and says, yeah, but you know, that film wasn't true as it could have been, they just don't realize how movies are done. You know, you can't explain somebody's story without dramatizing it a little bit or without changing certain events to make more difference for the story. It's all about benefiting the story and having a fluid motion. And a lot of people don't realize that when they go into films. It's the exact same thing when a film and when a book becomes a film, is people really don't understand that book cannot transition well into film without, you want to use the benefits of what film has to offer instead of using just what the book has. So this film does incredible by breaking it down into those 3 spots, and that is because of Aaron Sorkin's screenplay. He is one of the best screenwriters around, and the fact that this film isn't at least nominated in the Academy Awards for Best Adapted Screenplay is kind of messed up. But it's one of those films where the whole entire time you're watching it, you start to think, okay, Steve Jobs is a bad person, and Steve Jobs really is a manipulator. And he was, if you read the biography, and a lot of people that kind of were around him said that, but he really got the best out of people as well. And this film doesn't portray him in such a negative light that you'll just hate him after you watch the film. I mean, he's human, he was a human, so obviously he had flaws and there was things that he had wrong and issues with him. I'm the exact same personality type as the guy in ENTJ, so I can kind of relate to him as well, as far as being way more on the analytical side instead of being more on the emotional side, which is what he was. And just watching him kind of grow as a person through these 3 different parts in his life is really, really inspiring to you guys. I mean, when I came out of this film in the theaters and then rewatching it again, I came out of it going, man, I'm just not doing enough. I'm just not doing enough. Like, this guy was crazy inspiring, where he would have times where he would just work all day, every day, nonstop. He just had the hustle. That's what we call it nowadays, being able to hustle. And he just did the best that he could at the time. He just did the best of his abilities. And obviously I'm shooting this Periscope on an iPhone right now. So crazy inspiring, incredible movie. Cinematography is great. Writing is incredible. Danny Boyle's direction is really good. It's kind of fast-paced like all of his other films. If you don't know who Danny Boyle is, he directed Slumdog Millionaire and 127 Hours and 28 Days Later. Other films like that where they're really fast-paced, and this film does feel really fast-paced. Sometimes when you watch a biography film, they kind of drag. This film does not drag at all, thanks to Danny Boyle's direction and Aaron Sorkin's screenplay. So thank you guys so much for watching this and listening to my Steve Jobs review. I definitely recommend you check it out. It's one of my 10 favorite films of 2015. I can now say that for a fact. And I will have that video of my 10 favorite films of 2015 out very soon on my YouTube channel, and I'll also upload it to Facebook and post it on Twitter. So thank you guys once again. Thank you so much for giving me the hearts. I don't know if I broke 100,000. If I did, thank you guys so much for following me on this journey and giving me hearts and sharing these out. I really appreciate it, you guys. I hope to bring you more and more incredible film reviews. I feel like I'm getting better at this as I go, which is really great, and it's all because of you guys. Thanks again. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you.